So in this lecture, we will discuss 4 great tragedies of William Shakespeare. And the 4 great tragedies of William Shakespeare are Hamlet, Othello, King Lear, and Macbeth. First of all, we will discuss Hamlet. Now, Hamlet is, you can say that William Shakespeare's Mona Lisa, and it is also called the Mona Lisa of William Shakespeare by T.S. Eliot. It is the most famous tragedy of William Shakespeare. It is entitled after the name of the central character, Hamlet. Now, Hamlet is a revenge tragedy. Why? Because the central theme of this tragedy is revenge. Hamlet's father is murdered in a foul manner by his uncle Claudius, and then his father's ghost, it appears to Hamlet and tells him the story behind his murder, that he was murdered, he was killed by his uncle by pouring a poison into his ears when he was sleeping in the garden. And that's why he asked Hamlet to take revenge from his uncle. So that is one aspect of this one. But however, when Hamlet comes to know the reality about his uncle, and later on his mother Gertrude, she also marries his uncle. So Hamlet keeps on avoiding, you can say that, action. He doesn't take action to take revenge upon his uncle. And that's why it is the tragedy of inaction. So he takes a lot of time. Only towards the end of this play, he becomes active. And then there's a duel between Hamlet and Laertes, and in which both Hamlet and Laertes, they both are killed. So it is a tragedy of inaction. And what is the catchphrase or the motto of this play? The motto of this play is readiness is all, means one should be ready to take action, to do something. And there are overall 7 soliloquies in this play. 6 soliloquies are uttered by Hamlet and 1 soliloquy by his uncle Claudius. Actually, the word soliloquy consists of 2 words, soul and loque. Soul means single or loque means speech. So what is the meaning of soliloquy? Speech of a single character. Actually, in soliloquy, a character comes on the stage, he talks to the audience. The audience is able to hear him. However, the other characters on the however, the other characters are not able to hear him. So that is soliloquy. And this play also contains a play within a play. And the name of that play is Mousetrap. If you remember Thomas Kyd's tragedy, that is the Spanish tragedy. So that is also a revenge play. Mainly, most of the times in a revenge play, a play within a play is enacted. Because in that play, the Thomas Kyd's The Spanish Tragedy, a play is enacted at the time of, you can say that, Belimpedia's marriage. And in that play, Hieronymo, he takes revenge by killing Balthazar. So in this play also, a play within a play is organized, and the name of that play is a Mousetrap. Actually, Hamlet, he gets this play organized in order to ensure whether his uncle is involved in the murder of his father or not. Because in this play, the same situation is repeated. A person is shown sleeping in the garden. Then one person comes and pours poison into his ears. And the reaction of Hamlet's uncle Claudius are observed. And when Hamlet is pretty sure that my uncle is responsible for the murder of his father, and then he takes revenge. So that is Mousetrap. There are 2 important scenes here. One is the closet scene and second is the grave digger scenes. Closet scene takes place between Hamlet and his mother. That is called the closet scene. And the grave digger scenes take place when Hamlet's beloved Ophelia, she commits suicide by drowning herself, like Virginia Woolf. Virginia Woolf also committed suicide by drowning herself. So these are 2 important scenes there. Actually, a very famous modern writer whose name is Tom Stoppard, he took the title of his play, Guildenstern and Rosencrantz Are Dead, from Hamlet. Actually, in this play, Hamlet, Guildenstern and Rosencrantz, they are Hamlet's friend. And in this play, they try to kill Hamlet. However, Hamlet, who is very clever, he gets both Guildenstern and Rosencrantz murdered. There is one psychologist there was one psychologist and whose name was Ernest Jones. He made a psychological study of Hamlet, and he found that Hamlet hesitates to take revenge upon his uncle. Why? Because he suffers from Oedipus complex. Oedipus complex means the love of a son for his mother. He says that Hamlet doesn't take revenge upon his uncle. Why? Because he himself is guilty of that sin, because he himself loves his own mother. The concept of Oedipus complex was also wonderfully used by the modern novelist D.H. Lawrence in his autobiographical novel Sons and Lover, in which he shows the bad effect of a mother's love. Now we will discuss the important characters in the story in brief. Hamlet, who is the Prince of Denmark; Gertrude, who is Hamlet's mother; Claudius, Hamlet's uncle; Ophelia, who is Hamlet's beloved and who later on commits suicide by drowning herself; Polonius, who is Ophelia's father, and he is murdered mistakenly by Hamlet. Actually, when Hamlet and his mother they are having a secret conversation in the closet scene, so Polonius tries to overhear their conversation. Hamlet thinks that Claudius is overhearing their conversation, and that's why, thinking Polonius as Claudius, he just murders. He sways his sword, अपनी तलवार चलाता है, and later on he comes to know that it was not Claudius but it was Polonius who has been murdered. So later on, Latrus, who is Ophelia's brother, who is living in Rome, and when he comes to know the death of his father and his sister, he comes to Denmark, and Claudius, who is Hamlet's uncle, he poisons his ears. And towards the end of this play, there's a duel, एक द्वंद्व युद्ध होता है between Hamlet and Latrus, in which both wound each other, एक दूसरे को घायल करते हैं, and they both die. Then we have a Horatio, who is Hamlet's friend, who survives towards the end of this play. And another very important character is Osiris, who is Hamlet's attendant. So these questions were raised in NET exam. Now, what is the story? I have told you that Hamlet's father asked Hamlet to take revenge, but he keeps on just agitating in taking revenge. And in this process, even Polonius is killed, and he also tries to pretend madness, पागल होने का ढोंग भी करता है, in order to escape any danger. So Ophelia, who loves him dearly, he thinks that Hamlet has gone mad. And secondly, Ophelia is also sad due to the death of her father, and that's why Ophelia, she loses her mental balance and she drowns herself. She commits suicide. So when Latrus comes back, and he's very angry because his both father and sister, they have died. So Claudius, he poisons Latrus' ears that Hamlet is responsible for the death of the two, and that's why a duel is organized between Hamlet and Latrus. And in that duel also, Claudius makes a plan. What is the plan? He just, you can say that, smears Latrus' sword with poison. उसकी तलवार पे जहर लगा देता है, ताकि अगर Hamlet को थोड़ा सा भी कट लगा तो Hamlet मर जाएगा. This is plan A. What is the plan B? He also arranges a poisonous drink for Hamlet. कि अगर Hamlet जीत भी जाता है ना, तो उसकी जो मदर है उसको क्या है, वो ड्रिंक देगी जीत की खुशी में, and after taking that drink, Hamlet will die. So there are two plans, plan A and plan B. So when Hamlet and Latrus, they fight, so their swords are exchanged. उनकी जो तलवारें हैं वो exchange हो जाती है, and Latrus gets a cut. Latrus cut उसको लग जाता है, and before dying, Latrus tells reality to Hamlet that my sword was smeared with poison. And meanwhile, Hamlet also gets a cut with the poisonous sword. Poisonous sword के साथ भी उसको cut लग जाता है. And when Hamlet is winning, so Gertrude is very happy, who is Hamlet's mother. She is very happy, and she takes the drink and drinks it and dies. वो मर जाती है. And later on, when Hamlet comes to know that this is the plan of his uncle, so he forces his uncle to drink the rest of the poisonous drink. तो उसका जो uncle है वो बचा हुआ drink पीता है, and he dies. And towards the end of this play, Hamlet also dies. So who is left? Only Horatio, his friend, is left. So these are some of the important characters here. Another character, Guildenstern and Rosencrantz, we have already discussed. They were Hamlet's childhood friends, but later on they try to murder Hamlet, but Hamlet gets them murdered. Clear? So these are the important characters. Now we will discuss so many quotations from this play. And you must remember one more fact, that Hamlet is William Shakespeare's longest play. Hamlet is William Shakespeare's longest play. Hamlet is William Shakespeare's greatest play. Both these facts you must remember. This is a wonderful quote by Hamlet. Actually, when Hamlet's mother, she marries his uncle Claudius, then Hamlet says, "Frailty, thy name is woman." Means, "O woman, your caste is to deceive men." कि तुम्हारी जो जाति है ना, वो लोगों को धोखा देना है. That's why frailty stands for weakness. So frailty, thy name is woman, means you always deceive men. You are not faithful. So that's a wonderful quote by. Yes, to be or not to be. That question was raised in NET exam. So what is the meaning? Well, the question in NET was, what is the meaning of to be or not to be? So what is the meaning of to be or not to be? The meaning of to be or not to be is to die or not to die. So that is the meaning, because Hamlet, he finds himself in a terrible situation. He is not able to decide whether he should commit suicide or not, because he finds himself unable to take revenge from his uncle. Actually, once Hamlet gets a chance, once Hamlet's father was busy in, uncle was busy in praying to God. So he gets a wonderful opportunity, but he doesn't murder his uncle. He thinks that Hamlet thinks that if he murders his uncle when while his uncle is praying to God, so his uncle will go to heaven, and that's why he doesn't murder his uncle. These are two very wonderful lines by Hamlet's uncle Claudius. He says, when sorrows come, they don't come in species, but in battalions. Species मैंने कहा था one by one. So Claudius uncle says कि जब जिंदगी में दुख आते हैं, they don't come one by one, but they come together. कि हमारी जिंदगी में जो दुख है वो सारे एकदम आ जाते हैं. और really this is a wonderful thing. और हमारी real life में ऐसा ही होता है कि जब दुख आते हैं, they don't come one by one, but in large number. This is a wonderful quote by Hamlet. Hamlet defines man, that who is man. So he says that Hamlet, what a piece of work is man. Means Hamlet means man is an excellent creature. How noble in thought. He is quite high in thought. Uske vichar bahut ऊंचे हैं. How infinite in power. Means the man's power is infinite. How great in action. His actions are very great. So this is a wonderful quote by Hamlet. You must remember. Now, when Polonius' son Latrus is going to Rome, so Polonius, he gives some advice to his son. पहली advice क्या देता है? Neither be the borrower nor be the lender. He tells his son that if you are going to Rome, so you should neither borrow money nor lend money. Why? अगर आपने बोरो कर ली, किसी फॉरेन कंट्री में पैसे उधार ले लिए, तो वो आपको छोड़ेंगे नहीं. They won't spare you. और अगर आपने किसी को पैसे उधार दिए, तो it is not guarantee that your money will be returned, क्योंकि वहां आपको कोई जानता नहीं है. इसलिए कहता है कि neither be the borrower nor be the lender. Another wonderful quote is, that is also by Polonius. Give every man thy ear, but few thy tongue. He gives another advice to his son. Give every man thy ear means you should try to listen each and everything. आपको सुनना सारी चीजें हैं, but few thy tongue means you should not speak. बोलना नहीं है, because when somebody tries to speak in any matter, so there is the problem of a fighting also. ये बहुत अच्छी कोट है. ये कब कोट आती है? When Ophelia is being buried, तो उसका भाई आ जाता है लेटरस. He also starts showing grief, दुख दिखाना शुरू कर देता है. तो हैमलेट कहता है कि don't show your false show. और क्या कहता है? 40,000 brothers can't love her as I love her. So Hamlet tells Letrus that even 40,000 brothers, they can't love Ophelia more than I love Ophelia. एक इसमें और बड़ी फेमस कोट है, वो मैं यहाँ नहीं लिख पाया. वो कौन सी है? There is providence in the falls of sparrow. ये कोटेशन आई थी. There is providence in the fall of the sparrow. Means अगर एक चिड़िया गिरती है ना तो उसमें भी भगवान की मर्जी होती है. So that is a wonderful quote. There is providence even in the fall of a sparrow. ये आप लिख लेना. And one Hindi movie, Heather, is based on Hamlet. आपको ध्यान रखना है. And T.S. Eliot, if you remember, a modern writer, he wrote an essay about Hamlet, and the name of his essay is Hamlet and His Problems. And in that essay, T.S. Eliot, he criticizes Hamlet by calling it an artistic failure. Why? Because T.S. Eliot, he doesn't find objective correlative in Hamlet. What is the meaning of objective correlative? Objective correlative means to present things in an indirect way by using symbols, characters, images. So that is called objective correlative. So I think you are able to understand Hamlet. So I would request you, I would demand you that you must go through Hamlet. Hamlet आपने पढ़ना है अच्छे ढंग से. If you find some more important quote, definitely you can note down. The second very important tragedy written by William Shakespeare is Othello. It is also an eponymous play, title after the central character. And Othello, he is the Moor of Venice. It is set in Italy. The setting of this play is Italy. He is the Moor of Venice. He is a black man of Venice. And Othello is based on one writer, Cinthio's tale. उसकी कहानी है Glee Hiketomithi, उसके ऊपर ये based है. And Othello is a tragedy of suspicion. Hamlet was a tragedy of inaction. Othello is a tragedy of suspicion. Why? Because in this play, Hamlet, he suspects his wife Desdemona, नाम याद रखना. He suspects his wife Desdemona having extramarital love affair with his friend Cassio. Hamlet ये सोचता है कि उसकी वाइफ Desdemona का उसके फ्रेंड Cassio के साथ extramarital affairs है. And believing in this theory, Othello, he strangles Desdemona. Desdemona का गला घोट के मार देता है. Actually Othello's beloved and wife Desdemona is pure. She didn't have any extramarital affair with Othello's friend Cassio. Actually, it is Iago. Iago कौन है? Villain of this play. ये Iago होता है who creates a suspicion in Othello's mind. Othello के दिमाग में शक पैदा करता है about his wife. Why? Because Othello, he wants to take revenge upon Othello. वो Othello से बदला लेना चाहता है. क्यों बदला लेना चाहता है? Because Othello is a general in the army. And Othello, instead of promoting Iago को promote करने के बजाय, he promotes his friend Cassio. Actually, Iago is a bad person. He has bad reputation, and that's why Othello doesn't promote him. And that's why he takes revenge from Othello by creating a suspicion in his mind that his wife Desdemona is having an extramarital love affair with his friend Cassio, and Othello strangles his wife. Later on, Othello comes to know that it was a plan made by Iago to take revenge. So it is set in Venice. There is a very important scene, and the name of that scene is handkerchief scene. What is that scene? Actually, Othello's wife Desdemona visits a place and where she loses her handkerchief, and Iago, with the help of his wife, takes that handkerchief, उस handkerchief को उठा लिया जाता है, and that handkerchief is put where? Into Cassio's clothes, into Cassio's bag. उसके बैग में, उसके कपड़ों में डाल दिया जाता है ताकि Othello को शक हो जाए that that handkerchief has been gifted to Cassio by his wife. इस पर हिंदी मूवी बेस्ड है ओमकारा, यू मस्ट रिमेंबर. इसमें फेमस कोट है कुछ, वैसे इसमें ज्यादा फेमस कोट नहीं है, एक दो कोट है. जैसे ये है, men in rage strike those that wish them best. बहुत अच्छी लाइन है. Men in rage, rage means होता है anger, means when a man is in anger, जब कोई आदमी गुस्से में होता है, जब कोई आदमी, when a man is in anger, so definitely he hurts those people who really love them, who really love him. तो जब एक आदमी गुस्से में होता है तो वो उन लोगों को ज्यादा ठेस पहुंचाता है जो उससे रियली प्यार करते हैं. डू यू रिमेम्बर किंग लियर? तो किंग लियर में क्या है, एक कैरेक्टर है केंट. तो जब वो कॉर्डेलिया को निकाल देता है किंग लियर अपने साम्राज्य से, सो केंट एडवाइजेस किंग लियर दैट यू आर कमिटिंग ए मिस्टेक. लेकिन किंग लियर इज इन एंगर एंड दैट्स व्हाई ही इवन एक्सपेल्स केंट फ्रॉम इंग्लैंड. वो इंग्लैंड से उसको निकाल देता है. ठीक है, क्या कहता है? ओ बिवेयर माय लॉर्ड ऑफ जेलसी. कहता है जेलसी से बच के रहो. दैट्स अ वंडरफुल कोट. व्हाई? बिकॉज जो ओथेलो है, बिकॉज जो इएगो है, ही हैज जेलसी. यस, ये पूरी लाइन है. ओ बिवेयर माय लॉर्ड ऑफ जेलसी, इट इज द ग्रीन आइड मॉन्स्टर which doth mock the meat it feeds on. What is the meaning of this line? Because jealousy is a bad thing. Why? Because it increases. Instead of decreasing, it increases. Jealousy कम होने के बजाय बढ़ती जाती है. ठीक है, तो तभी कहता है, oh beware my lord of jealousy, it is the green-eyed monster. Means jealousy has been compared to a monster. Jealousy is like a monster which doth mock the meat it feeds on. Means it makes fun of, means the jealousy increases. तो ये ध्यान रखना. इसमें कैरेक्टर्स मैंने आपको बता दिया. ओथेलो द हीरो, डेस्टिमोना who is Othello's wife, Cassio who is Othello's friend, Bianca who is Cassio's beloved, Iago, he is the villain of this play, Emilia who is Iago's wife. So these six important characters are there, and I have narrated the storyline in brief. That Iago, he puts suspicion in Othello's mind that his wife is having an extra marital love affair with Cassio, his friend, and then Othello believes in this theory and he strangles his wife, and later on he comes to know that it was Iago's plan to take revenge. So that's another wonderful play of William Shakespeare, Othello. Now we will discuss the third very important tragedy of William Shakespeare, whose name is King Lear. So King Lear is actually based on first English tragedy, Gorboduc, which was performed in 1561, and it was written by Thomas Sackville and Thomas Norton. So it is based on Gorboduc. And do you remember the subtitle of Gorboduc? The Pharex and the Porrex. And what is the catchphrase of King Lear? This question was raised in NET exam. And the catchphrase of King Lear is ripeness is all. As the catchphrase of Hamlet is readiness is all. So the King Lear, the catchphrase of King Lear is ripeness is all. Ripeness meaning maturity. Because King Lear, no doubt he has grown old, but he is not mature enough. He doesn't know how to differentiate between the good and the bad. And that's why she expels Cordelia, her faithful daughter, from England, and he divides his kingdom among his two daughters, Goneril and Regan. Clear? And later on, he is mistreated by them. And when he is mistreated by Goneril and Regan, so it is Cordelia who comes to take care of him. And later on, both King Lear and Cordelia, they are captured, and Cordelia is hanged. Cordelia को फांसी पे चढ़ा दिया जाता है. And later, towards the end of this play, King Lear also dies due to grief. दुख के कारण वो भी मर जाता है. And what is the theme of this play? The theme of this play is filial ingratitude. Filial ingratitude means ungratefulness of children, बच्चों की एहसान फरामोशी. What happens actually, this play has two one main plot and then there is a second subplot also. In main plot we get the story of King Lear and his three sisters. In subplot we have the story of the King of Gloucester and his two sons Edmund and Roger. ठीक है, तो वो उनकी कहानी है उसमें. There are two stories. Important scene is storm scene. What is the storm scene? Actually, when King Lear, he visits his second daughter, Regan. So Regan also misbehaves King Lear and asks her father to feel sorry to her eldest daughter Goneril. When King Lear refuses, so King Lear comes out of the castle, comes out of the fort, and a very terrible storm is blowing outside. So that is called storm scene, because storm scene has a symbolic meaning. At that time, there were two types of storm going on in King Lear. One was internal storm, because King Lear, he realizes that he made a big mistake in banishing Cordelia. And the second storm was going outside. Okay? Now, Nahum Tate, he wrote a second version of this play, King Lear, and he gave a happy ending to this play. Because King Lear written by William Shakespeare has a tragic end, because towards the end of this play, King Lear dies, Cordelia dies, each and every character dies except one or two characters. So Nahum Tate, he was not happy with the ending, with the tragic ending of King Lear, and that's why he gave a happy ending to the play. Now we will discuss the characters, and then the story we have already discussed in brief. Goneril, who is Lear's eldest daughter, Regan, who is middle daughter, and Cordelia, who is Lear's youngest daughter. ये इसी sequence में याद रखना. Then we have the Duke of Albany, who is Goneril's husband, the Duke of Cornwall, who is Regan's husband, the King of France, who is Cordelia's husband. ठीक है, ये आपको important character याद रखने. Another character is Oswald, who is Goneril's servant. Actually, it is Oswald who misbehaves with King Lear के साथ misbehave करता है. Goneril उसको कहते हैं कि you should misbehave with the King Lear. The Earl of Kent, who is Lear's faithful servant, and he tries to give advice to King Lear that he is doing wrong in banishing, in you can say that disinheriting Cordelia. But King Lear is angry, and that's why he also banishes Kent. Kent को निकाल देता है. But later on, Kent returns in disguise, रूप धारण करके आ जाता है in order to serve King Lear. King Lear की सेवा करने के लिए. The Fool, he is a clown in this play. And there several times a question has been raised in net exam relating to various the characters of clown in William Shakespeare's play, because in many William Shakespeare's play there is the character, the fool or the clown. You must remember, in King Lear we have the fool, in As You Like It we have the touchstone. Clear? So you must remember. In Twelfth Night we have Fest. The Earl of Gloucester, this is the second plot with Lear's faithful friend. And he has two sons. One is Edgar, who is Gloucester's legitimate son. And we have another, Edmund, who is Gloucester's illegitimate son. So the Gloucester illegitimate son, he wants to take revenge upon the Earl of Gloucester. And that's why he creates misunderstanding between Gloucester and Edgar, who is Gloucester's real son. And at last, what happens that Edgar, he leaves the castle and he starts living as a beggar. अपना नाम बदल कर रहने लग जाता है, and he gives himself the name Tom o Bedlam. ये क्वेश्चन आया था नेट में. Tom o Bedlam अपना नाम रखकर वो रहने लग जाता है. ठीक है. And what happens towards the end of this play? Towards the end of the play, there is a duel between Edgar and Edmund. दोनों के बीच में लड़ाई होती है, duel होता है. And Edgar, he kills Edmund. ठीक है, तो ये है इसकी कहानी ब्रीफ में बता दी है. यू मस्ट रीड दिस प्ले इन डिटेल because it's really very important. We have some very important quotes from this play. First quote is, "We are to goats as flies to wanton boy. They kill us for their sport." Wanton मैंने क्या होता है? Mischievous, शरारती. So these two lines, first two lines are by Gloucester. Gloucester, these first two lines, they talk about destiny. भाग्य के बारे में बात करती हैं. Gloucester says that human beings, they are like flies to goats. भगवान के लिए क्या है जी? मक्खियों की तरह है. जैसे मधुमक्खियां, जो मक्खियां होती हैं, शरारती बच्चों के लिए होती हैं. शरारती बच्चे क्या करते हैं? Mischievous boy, they kill the flies in order to take enjoyment. Similarly, Gloucester says that human beings are like flies to goats, and God also kills us, हमें मारता है, for their sport. So here he talks about destiny. कि डेस्टिनी में जो कुछ लिखा हुआ वो जरूर होता है. और these two lines, "We are to goats as flies to wanton boy, they kill us for their sport." These two lines were used by Thomas Hardy, a Victorian writer, a Victorian novelist, in his novel Tests of the D'Urbervilles, which was published. ठीक है, तो ये ध्यान रखना. Second is, "When we are born, we cry that we are come to this great stage of fools." Wonderful lines. यही होता है ना, जब बच्चा पैदा होता है तो वो चिल्लाता है, कहता है when we born we cry, हम चिल्लाते हैं. Why? हम रोते क्यों हैं पैदा होते ही? Why? Because we think that we have come to this great world of fools. मूर्खों की दुनिया में आ गए. फिर देखो क्या कहता है, "How sharper than a serpent's tooth it is to have a thankless child." These lines are spoken by King Lear. King Lear feels that ungratefulness of children, बच्चों की जो एहसान फरामोशी है, that children's ungratefulness pinches more, वो ज्यादा दुख देती है, hurts more than a serpent's sting. इस सांप के काटने से इतना दर्द नहीं होता जितना कि बच्चों की एहसान फरामोशी से होता है. एक बहुत अच्छी लाइन है, "I am a man more sinned against that sinning." ये भी नेट में सारे क्वेश्चन आ चुके हैं इनके ऊपर. So I am a man more sinned against that sinning. This is another line uttered by King Lear. King Lear says that I have suffered more than I deserved. कहते हैं मैंने इतना कोई बड़ा अपराध नहीं किया था. उसने क्या अपराध किया था? He only banished Cordelia and he divided his kingdom among between his two daughters, the remaining two daughters, but definitely he suffers a lot. Yes, ये जो दो लाइनें हैं ये किंग लियर की है, जो कॉर्डेलिया को कहता है जब वो दोनों बंद होते हैं. "Come, let's away to prison. We two alone will sing like birds in the cage." So in the prison, King Lear, he feels sorry to Cordelia and he says, "Okay, now let's go to prison and we will live there." So these are some famous quotes, but you must read this play in detail. If you find any other important quote, so definitely you must note down. The last important tragedy written by William Shakespeare is Macbeth. So it is a tragedy of ambition. Why? You can say that like Christopher Marlowe's plays Tamburlaine, because Tamburlaine, he wants to conquer the world, पूरी दुनिया को जीतना चाहता है. Even Dr. Faustus, he wants to become the most powerful person of the world. So in this play also tragedy, Macbeth, who is the central character, he wants to become the king of Scotland. And that's why what happens, that he murders the king of Scotland, Duncan, in his own castle. अपने castle में उसको मार देता है. So what happens when he murders the king of Scotland, Duncan, in his castle? Then he suffers from guilt complex. Guilt complex से suffer करता है. And later on, actually, Macbeth's wife was also involved in the murder. And later on, Macbeth's wife, she loses her mental balance and she commits suicide. वो आत्महत्या कर लेती है. And towards the end of this play, there is a fight, there is a battle between Macbeth and Macduff. Macduff is a very important character in this play, who is Duncan's faithful servant. So there is a fight between Macbeth and Macduff, and Macduff, he kills Macbeth. So this is the story in brief. You must read the story in detail. And one American writer, William Faulkner, he has taken the title of his play, The Sound and the Fury, from this play, Sound and the Fury, because in this play, Macbeth, he defines life, that what is life. When his wife commits suicide, then Macbeth, he defines life, that what is life. He says, life is a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing. Means he wants to say that life is full of sorrows and troubles, and it has no importance at all. So from that quotation, the title Sound and Fury has been taken. There are 2 or 3 important scenes in this play. One is the Potter scene. Potter scene क्या होता है? Actually, Lady Macbeth, she gives, you can say that, intoxicated food to the watchmen. जो पहरेदार होते हैं उनको नशे वाला खाना खिला देती है. And that's why Macbeth and Lady Macbeth murder Duncan. And in the morning, when Macduff comes to make the king wake up, जब उसको जगाने आता है, so he knocks at the door. The porter, who are in intoxication, they think that they are at the gate of the hell. Hell के gate पर है, and somebody is knocking at the gate of the hell, and that's why that is a very funny situation there. Then we have the banquet scene. Actually, when King Duncan is murdered, so King Duncan has 2 sons, Malcolm and Donalbain. When murder is committed, so Malcolm and Donalbain, they are sleeping in the next room of Duncan. So when they come to know that that their father has been murdered, so both Malcolm and Donalbain, they run away, वो भाग जाते हैं. And Macbeth, who is King Duncan's distant relative, उसका रिश्तेदार होता, दूर का रिश्तेदार, so he is made the king. ठीक है? So banquet scene means, and when he becomes the king, he throws a grand party. Banquet का मतलब ये होता है कि grand party देता है. That is called banquet scene. We have another scene also, sleepwalking scene. Actually, Macbeth's wife, Lady Macbeth, she suffers from depression, and that's why she starts she starts walking in sleep. This sleepwalking scene is another important scene here. There are important characters. You must remember King of Scotland, Malcolm and Donalbain, who are Duncan's son. Macbeth, who is Duncan's army general. Lady Macbeth, his wife. Banquo, who is a Macbeth's friend. But later on, Macbeth, he gets Banquo also murdered. वो Banquo का भी अपने दोस्त का भी murder करवा देता है. Because 3 witches, they make 3 prediction to Macbeth. Macbeth को 3 भविष्यवाणियां करती है. Number 1, Thane of Glamis, वो already होता है. Thane of Cawdor, और क्या होता है? Would be king of Scotland. तो Thane of Glamis वो पहले ही होता है. और जब ये प्ले शुरू होता है ना, तो ये battle is going on between Hamlet, between Scotland and another country, and Hamlet defeats them, and that's why the king is very happy, and he makes him the Thane of Cawdor, उसका नवाब बना देता है. तो जब उसको समाचार मिलती है कि मैं नवाब बन गया Cawdor का, तो Macbeth thinks that it means definitely I will become the king also, and then he makes a plan to murder King Duncan. और जो witches होती हैं, 3 witches, whose chief is Hecate, उनकी chief का नाम Hecate होते हैं. तो Banquo, they also make a prediction, or to Banquo को क्या भविष्यवाणी करती हैं, that his sons, they will rule England, वो इंग्लैंड पर शासन करेंगे. And that's why Macbeth, he wants to murder both Banquo and his son. The name of Banquo's son is Fleance. However, Banquo is murdered, Fleance runs away, and later on Fleance, he joins hands with Malcolm and Donalbain along with Macduff, and then they attack Macbeth, and Macbeth is murdered. So Macduff is Duncan's faithful servant. Then we have another character, Hecate, who is the chief of the 3 witches. So ये आपको ध्यान रखना है. Now we will discuss the important quote. Fair is foul, foul is fair. So this quotation is uttered by the 3 witches, where they appear, at the beginning of the play. तो ये क्वेश्चन आ सकता है कि which play of William Shakespeare is dominated by the three witches. So William Shakespeare's Macbeth is dominated by the three witches. So fair is foul, foul is fair. यहाँ पर एक फिगर ऑफ स्पीच है, मतलब कि तीन चुड़ैलें क्या कहती हैं, what is fair मैंने right. The three witches says that what is suitable for the world, that is foul for us, and what is foul for the world, that is good for us. ठीक है, और इसमें एक फिगर ऑफ स्पीच है कायाज्मस, आपने सुना होगा कायाज्मस. आई विल डिस्कस द फिगर्स ऑफ स्पीच लेटर ऑन. कायाज्मस, CHIASMUS. कायाज्मस में क्या होता है, द ऑर्डर ऑफ वर्ड्स इन द फर्स्ट क्लोज इज रिवर्स्ड इन द सेकंड. तो देखो पहले में फेयर इज फाउल, इसको उल्टा कर दिया दूसरे में, फाउल इज फेयर. तो जब ऑर्डर ऑफ वर्ड्स इज रिवर्स्ड इन द सेकंड क्लोज, so there is a figure of speech that is called chiasmus. Now all the perfumes of Arabia can't sweeten this little hand. It is a wonderful example of hyperbole. Hyperbole आपने सुना होगा, अतिशयोक्ति अलंकार. क्योंकि एक्चुअली जो लेडी मैकबेथ होती है, एक्चुअली उसको क्या भ्रम होता रहता है, that there are drops of blood on her hands and that's why she keeps on washing hands again and again. अपने हाथ धोती रहती है और उसको कह जी ब्लड की सुगंध आती रहती है. तब ये कोटेशन आती है, all the perfumes of Arabia can't sweeten this little hand. Actually Arabia is quite famous for its perfume. तो उसकी तो अगर आप एक ड्रॉप भी परफ्यूम की डाल दो अरेबिया की तो 24 घंटे सुगंध रहती है. लेकिन वो क्या कहती है कि सारे परफ्यूम भी अरेबिया के मेरे इस हाथ को सुगंधित नहीं कर सकते. तो यहाँ पर एक फिगर ऑफ स्पीच है, दैट इज कॉल्ड हाइपरबली, अतिशयोक्ति अलंकार. यस, ये बहुत अच्छी कोट है और ये नेट में आई थी. बिकॉज मैकबेथ, व्हेन लेडी मैकबेथ शी कमिट्स सुसाइड, सो मैकबेथ मेक्स टू कोटेशन अबाउट लाइफ. पहली तो मैंने कोटेशन आपको बता दी थी, लाइफ इज ए टेल टोल्ड बाय एन इडियट फुल ऑफ साउंड एंड फ्यूरी सिग्निफाइंग नथिंग. ठीक है, तो मैंने बताया था. एंड विलियम फॉकनर, he took the title of his work Sound and Fury from these line. और ये अभी नेट में पूछी गई थी रिसेंटली. out brief candle, because William Shakespeare he thinks that life is nothing but a brief candle. Life's but a walking shadow. कहता है कि लाइफ एक चलती फिरती क्या जी शेडो है. A poor player that struts and frets his hour upon the stage and then is heard no more. Means he compares human beings to players. कहता है जैसे जो players होते हैं, जो actors होते हैं, they come on the stage, they perform their role and then they exit. Similarly, in this world, human beings come, they perform their role and then they go back to heaven. ठीक है, तो तभी कहता है a poor player that struts and frets means क्या होता है, who suffers sorrows and suffering, जो दुख झेलता है and then is heard no more. ये जो स्टेज वाली बात है, विलियम शेक्सपियर has used similar quotation in his play As You Like It, romantic comedy As You Like It, जिसमें जो जेक्स होता है वो is a melancholy character, वो is a sad character. He makes a very wonderful quotation if you remember. वो क्या कहता है, life is a stage. वो कहता है the whole world is a stage. ठीक है, and men and women they have their entrance and exit. So all the world is a stage and all men and women are mere players. They have their entrance and exit. उसमें यही कहता है कि पूरी दुनिया एक रंगमंच है and each and every person comes in this world, performs certain rules and then he goes. तो आपने इस प्ले को भी डिटेल से पढ़ना है. एक और कोटेशन इसकी अच्छी है जो नेट में आई थी, what's done can't be undone. Means if you perform an action, now you can't reverse that action. उस reverse को आप action नहीं reverse नहीं कर सकते. Because when Macbeth and Lady Macbeth they murder Duncan, so now it's out of their hands to make Duncan alive. So these are some important quotes that I have collected for you. But I would recommend you to read both these four great tragedies of Hamlet deeply. Both these four great tragedies of William Shakespeare's deeply: Hamlet, Othello, King Lear, Macbeth, and try to get as many quotations as possible. So I have covered many important points from net point of view. So that's all in today's lecture. And if you want to watch more lectures and videos, so don't forget to download my app Oxbridge English from Play Store. So thanks.